Being an otaku means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. To some, it means being a hyper fan of some subset of pop culture, and to others, it just means being a casual fan of Japanese cartoons. There is an entire gulf between these two notions, and yet, they're both kind of right. When you get down to it, the word otaku and fandom in general is an individual notion that the general population can only tentatively agree upon. At first, a hyperfan of anything Japanese sounds like a solid definition, but then there are plenty of Japanese otaku whose passion is guns or planes or cars, and certainly not all of them Japanese made. The only real foothold we can get towards a definition is the degree of fanaticism, but that's just as variable. At what point do you stop being just a fan? Society operates on a mold casting basis, and when you don't fit the mold, it's kind of at a loss on how to treat you, even from members of your own community. The subject of otaku is certainly not lost on anime itself, as a number of shows and films have navel-gazed into meta-narrative, all with varying framework. Some were celebratory, if a bit self-deprecating, like the very good Otaku no Video, an OVA that I feel every single anime fan needs to see, especially older anime fans.
主人公であるサツキは地味ないじめられっ子。しかし一度その子がバトンを手にすると、なんとスーパーアイドルミスティメイに変身するんだ。しかもメルヘンドールマキの最大の弱点をも克服してな。マキの弱点だと。一体それはマスコットだ。マスコット？そうだ。少女ものにはつきもののキュートかつギャグメーカー。重要なコースターリングだ。
Some took a more negative viewpoint, painting the obsession of a fan in horrific colors like Perfect Blue.
I haven't seen it. I tried to get through to some of the songs. It's a key text.
Well, I've heard some cool things about this.
And then there are some that take a more sobering view on the culture, like Video Girl Eye. A 6-episode OVA, released in 1992, brought stateside in 1999 by Viz Media, Video Girl Eye is an anime that can't help but speak to many of us on a personal level. How could it not when it deals with such universal topics as unrequited love and loneliness, and magical girls that step out of VCRs? This is anime, after all. And by the by, I want so much credit for not making a Videodrome reference there. Meet Yoda Moroichi, a hopelessly smitten teenager whose crush, Moemi, just admitted that she's head over heels for his best friend Takashi. Confounding matters worse is that Takashi doesn't think of her that way, making for less of a love triangle and more of a single chain of personal frustration. Downtrodden, Yoda happens upon a mysterious video shop, returning home with a tape of a video girl. What's a video girl? Well, it's not exactly an easy subject to broach, but it's a loneliness aid. Video girls have died down since the VHS craze, but they're still around in some forms or another, especially on YouTube. But what are they supposed to do? Well, normally they talk to the camera and roleplay that they're the viewer's girlfriend, and this could entail anything, from the benign to the pornographic. As you can tell from the description, this is not something that anyone would be proud to say they purchased, hence Yoda's embarrassment as he heads back home. So here's our premise. A lonely man rents a video to pretend for just a few moments that someone cares about him, and through a quirk of magic, the woman on the video steps out of the screen and enters his life.
Stupid jerk! Play me back on a broken VCR? Trying to kill me?
And it's also a comedy. Well, maybe not a straight-up comedy, but the comedic twist here of her make-all-your-problems-go-away personality crumbles away when she enters the real world saves the anime from being just straight-up wish fulfillment. Even though she is still committed to making Yoda feel better about his life, Ai here does have an independent personality. She's brash, quick-tempered, and playfully mischievous. True, you could say that the anime just switched out one fetishized personality for another, but I would argue that this switch is less for escapism and more for comedic purposes. The anime itself doesn't really have a driving plot. It elects to follow a day-by-day story structure, surrounding the characters and the little foibles of life that mount themselves into issues. The only real element of the plot that gives it any kind of urgency is that the tape with Ai on it has a limited counter, and when it's up, she's gone for good. And with this limited time, she pledges herself to help Yoda win the heart of Moemi and instill in him self-worth. Sounds familiar, doesn't it?
So, what would you little maniacs like to do first?
Okay, the comparisons are going to be inevitable, so let's nip this in the bud right now. Yes, the plot does sound fairly the same as Weird Science, but where they both diverge are where their respective plot goes. Though Gary and Wyatt created Lisa to be a dream girl to boost their confidence, they wind up finding their own confidence and self-esteem with Lisa's guidance, not her looks or powers. Video Girl Ai starts much in the same way, but Ai, despite herself, winds up falling for Yota. Now, this is a very dangerous plot thread to follow because it could be very easy for the story to just have Ai wind up with Yoda and leave it at that. But remember, Ai exists only temporarily. This literal ticking clock prevents Ai from having a happy ending, as she knows that not only was she not supposed to have feelings for Yota, but that even if she acted upon them, it would only be for so long. All this emotional baggage and melodrama for what is ostensibly a screwball comedy.
What a nightmare.
You wouldn't think this combination could work, but it kinda does. I'll be the first to admit that the anime can get kind of lame here and there, but it's held together by the characters. Yoda could have very easily been another whiny, simpering asshole tossed upon the garbage heap of the other assholes that anime is crammed with, but there is more to him. Sure, he despairs when the crushing weight of his isolation gets to him. But he's not solely defined by his situation or his response to it. He's emotionally brave, considerate, and just a tad goofy at times. You can easily understand why Ai would grow to have feelings for him. Heck, the guy is so thoughtful and selfless that when he accidentally invites Moemi over to help with dinner, thus rendering the meal Ai already made pointless, he eats both meals so that both could feel like they were being appreciated. But the most important thing about Yoda's character is that he is not afraid to do the right thing. He hears firsthand from Moemi that she likes his friend Takashi, and despite being torn apart inside, he decides to help her through her own dealings with unrequited love. It's very easy to forget that Moemi is going through the exact same heartache as Yoda, and that he helps her work through it speaks volumes of Yoda's moral fiber.
Sometimes I wish I loved you instead.
Which makes it all the more tragic when she tells him that she can't stop loving him and that her and Yoda were never meant to be.
And then I knew the one thing I wish I didn't know. This person who'll never love me, I know I'll love for the rest of my life.
Seems a bit overdramatic, right? This high school girl saying that she will never love again, even though she's only been interested in guys for, what, a few years at best? Well, that's because it is. But that's not a bad thing. These are high school students, granted one with completely absent parents with the old out on business excuse, and it makes complete sense that they treat this hardship the way they do. When you're that age and you're struggling with hormones and your own feelings towards an entire group of people, every slight feels insurmountable, made worse by the fact that you can't physically move on. You're tethered to where you are by your family, and every day you trudge into a hive of concentrated hormones and bureaucracy designed to pound your square peg into a round hole, and there she or he is, the one you foolishly let know that you're crushing on them, and they don't feel the same way, reminding you constantly of that terrible choice you made. The anime captures these teenage notions perfectly, as it takes a mostly slice-of-life approach to the story to make it utterly believable. Which is also why the ending feels confusing. No matter how grounded the story was otherwise, it did begin with a video girl stepping out of a television, so when the hammer finally drops, it drops hard. We finally meet the entity that created Ai, but we never learn what he is or exactly why he made Ai, other than to be given to lonely, love-struck men. Seems he's not pleased that Ai has malfunctioned and has attached herself to Yoda, and has abducted her to reprogram her. What started off as a sort of fanciful romantic comedy has turned into an all-out war against an all-knowing god. Yoda follows Ai into the creator's realm and confronts surrealist temptations to stray from his path to save her.
What's it like with a video girl?
What?
Look, it's just a question, okay? Don't get all upset.
Well, for one thing, she cooks for me. She listens to my problems, and she...
Moemi could do all that too, you know.
Well, yeah, I guess, but...
And the best part is, she wouldn't be able to leave you.
What?
It all comes to a head when he finds Ai crucified naked at the top of a glass staircase, and then proceeds to pull a John McClane.
Why are you doing this to me?
I am doing nothing to you. The pain is completely your own.
Keep in mind, so far in this anime, there has not been 1 ounce of gore. And yet, here in the last episode, in this one scene alone, there is enough blood for an entire episode of Berserk. And I can't say it's not effective. Even though it's very blunt with what it's trying to do, creating a metaphorical path to illustrate that following your heart can be painful, its execution hits extremely hard. You feel Yoda's pain, and when it climaxes with him dangling on the edge of a razor-sharp cliff, it's damn near excruciating. All of this pain and suffering to save a woman that is going to disappear like that anyway, because he loves her. He loves a fictional character that was solely created to lick his emotional wounds. It's no stretch to say that Yoda is the audience proxy, but who is the audience? Who are we to this anime? Kind, caring, but socially ostracized and romantically frustrated. Heck, even Yoda's full name is a pun about being dateless, of which he is ridiculed mercilessly about.
Motenai? As in loser?
That's Yota Moteuchi, okay?
Hey, you guys, check it out. Look what he's brought to show and tell.
If we follow the plot from the beginning, we could trace a sort of caricature of a stereotypical otaku. A lonely man finding out that the woman he crushes on is in love with another, decides to escape his situation by renting a video and pretending that his life doesn't suck so much. At first, this delineation sounds like the show is meant to be a sort of caustic attack on the culture, especially in the last episode when Yoda's hallucinations keep telling him that Ai isn't real, that he's being foolish for pursuing someone whose entire existence stops when the VCR runs out of tape.
Video girls don't last forever. I'd move on if I were you.
Are you really that sure of her? Feelings do change over time, you know. How can you be sure it'll last forever?
Look at yourself, covered with wounds and reeking of blood, and all for your so-called love.
This certainly isn't anything new, as otakus have been the fandom punching bag for a long time. Some of you might remember me talking briefly about the documentary Otaku and the way the rest of society views the culture. It comes as no surprise that otakudom has always been synonymous with social pariahs, even 20 years ago.
What is an otaku?
Someone who has a hobby which is noticeable. He's a fanatic. Someone who has no friends. Who's dull. Who stays indoors. Someone closed in on themselves and a bit suspect. Basically, someone I have no desire to get to know.
And you know what? I'm kind of guilty of this too. I'll fully admit that I have made my fair share of jokes about the fandom, and I'll even cop to the fact that a lot of them can be construed as mean-spirited. If it means anything, I never meant any of my jokes to be an attack on anyone, and that I understand. I understand that being around people in general can be scary, and that it's made worse when it seems like everyone around you has you pegged as a socially inept loser. I understand the need and want to make a real connection with another person, be it platonic or romantic, especially romantic. I understand that no man is an island, but when there's no one around you, you can feel like you're drowning. I understand that in this day and age where talking with someone who is thousands of miles away from you is only a keystroke away, still can't replace a friendly pat on the shoulder to help lighten the burden of life. I understand that women can seem difficult and demanding, and I also understand that men can seem scary and threatening. And I also understand that in the absence of this connection, what might temporarily meet this need is a figurine of your favorite character, or a poster of your favorite character, or even a body pillow. And I also understand that purchasing these things can make you feel ashamed, like you're admitting that yes, you are a socially inept loser, because who else would buy it? But I want to tell you, not just the people who purchased a body pillow or a full-length figurine, or even just the otakus out there, but anyone who feels like they have no friends, or anyone who can feel alone in a crowded room, or anyone who just wants one person to say they care about them, I want to say, you're okay. You are okay. You're not a freak, you are not worthless, and you are not hopeless. You are much stronger than you think you are, and nothing you can ever feel can ever stop you from being happy. But first and foremost, you have to know that you are okay. Video Girl Ai spends nearly the entire last episode flogging Yoda for his feelings towards Ai, towards the fictional woman. But in the end, when he reaches her and they embrace, he comes to terms with what he's done and accepts that Ai is only temporary.
It was only for a moment. No more than a heartbeat, really. There was just me and I, and that was just fine. When the moment was over, because it was just a moment, the world returned to normal, and that was fine too.
Video Girl Ai isn't perfect by any stretch of the definition. The plot kind of repeats itself at points, and like I said, it does get hokey every now and then, but god damn if it isn't emotionally resonant. I did not go into Video Girl Ai expecting to like it as much as I do, but, well, call this the most surprising anime I have ever reviewed here on Anime Abandoned. Well, I want to thank you all for letting me take this episode on the more sobering road that it did, but rest assured that next episode won't be nearly as heavy, as we close out Tatsunoko month with another old taku memory. Till next time.